Hello everyone! Today I'm going to be filming my first ever book review and I'm excited, and today I'm going to be filming a book review slash discussion on the Yearbook Committee by Ayoub. And instead of holding it up the whole time, I'll just put it on the shelf here. Let's hope that stays there the whole time. So for this book review slash discussion, I'm going to start off by just sharing my basic general opinions on this book, and then I'm going to move on to a spoiler section where I can discuss all of the things. Oops, the book fell. Give me a second. Is that better? I think you can see it. So as I was saying, I'm going to film my basic general opinion on the book, and then I'm going to move on to my more spoilery opinion of this book, where I can discuss all of the things that happened in this amazing book. So to start off, I loved this book. For most of the book I was thinking, this book, it's okay, it's pretty good, but then the last 50 pages get so good. If you're getting most of the way through this book thinking it's just average and you're thinking about stopping, don't stop reading, keep going, it gets so much better. And like the blurb right here on the front cover says, it's definitely smart, funny and relevant. That blurb is so accurate, it's so good. And another thing I love about this book is that because it's set in Sydney and I live in Sydney, so it's so relatable for me. Like, I know where the places are that they go to, and like they're in Bellwood for a lot of the time, and like I know where that is. I go through there on the train sometimes, and like it's so relatable, and so many things that like just make sense. That like, because I'm so used to reading books that are set in America with like American schools. American schools are so different from Australian schools, so in this book it's set in Australia and it's just so relevant for me. It's so relatable because like, and another thing is I love how they're in year 12. All the characters in this book are year 12 students doing their HSC. That was me last year. Like, I was doing my HSC last year, so like I understand everything that these characters are going through, and like it's so relatable for me. It brings up so many feelings and memories from last year for me, and I just love that, and it's just so great. I love this book so much. Another thing I love is that they use the words like bogan and D&M are used in this book, and you just don't hear those words used much really. And like, because I don't really read many books set in Australia, so I'm not used to like having those words kind of things like mentioned in books. And I just love the way this book was written. Like, the writing style was just so easy to read and relatable, and it was just great. I loved it. I also loved how every character in this book had their own issues, their own set of problems, but all of those all just kind of meld together. And like, because all these characters, that they start off as not being friends, not knowing each other, and you wouldn't think they're the kind of people that would get along. Then because they're thrown together for the Yearbook Committee, I don't know if that counts as a spoiler, but you could probably figure that out anyway. But yeah, and I just love how like they have all their own problems, but they're thrown together to do something, and then they just become great friends because of it, and it's just great. I loved it. I'm probably gonna say I loved it about 500 times in this video, so I would say I would be sorry about that, but honestly I'm not, so I won't. I also love how in this book you see characters with Down syndrome, like Sammy in this book is like, he has Down syndrome, and I just love how things like that, and Maddie's mum with her slight mental problems, I just love how things like that are mentioned in this book, because they're real problems that real people have, and I just love how that's not like skipped over or anything, and it just makes it seem more real, and it's great. And I love how like with every character they have their own problems, but they're all real problems that real people go through, and like I can't, it's so good. The one thing with this book that could have been a little bit better, in my opinion, would be sometimes, especially more near the beginning of the book, because they're all the different characters, they sometimes got a little bit confusing in my head, but then really after a while they weren't really confusing anymore. But if I had to say one thing about this book that could have been improved, that would be it. But I still loved this book. So now this next section of this video, for the rest of this video I'm gonna discuss all of the spoilery things. So if you haven't read this book yet, you may want to leave now. So on to spoilers. Let's talk about Ryan and Charlie. Their relation, they're so cute together. At the beginning you think they're just so opposite. Like Ryan is he's like the school captain and the soccer popular guy, and then Charlie, she's the like outsider kind of thing who has a lot of opinions that are so different to everyone else, and you wouldn't think they'd be anything like each other, and you wouldn't think that they'd even be able to be friends with each other, but they're so perfect for each other. And I loved how like their relationship throughout the book, it seemed so real, and it's like they didn't instantly fall in love or anything, but you could just start to see them start to like each other, and then they kind of refuse to admit it a little bit at the beginning, but they're so cute together and so perfect for each other. And I just love their whole relationship story, and it was just so great. I ship them so hard. And when Ryan and Charlie, they finally kiss, but then Lauren, let's talk about her, I really don't like her anyway, but then she sees that and then she just makes the whole big thing about it, and then Charlie gets like heartbroken because of it, and it's just so sad. But I love how they like came back from it, and they're together. And one thing is, I really want to see where their relationship goes after that. Yep. Let's talk about Tammy. I love how her dad's a police officer, and I love how she wants to be one, but then her dad really doesn't want her to be a police officer, and you can see where he's coming from. He wants to keep her safe and he doesn't want her to do a dangerous job like that. But I just love how like she still really wants to be a police officer, and like she doesn't let any. You see her at the beginning of the book, she wants to be a police officer, but she's too scared to actually do anything about it because she's scared of what her dad will think. But I love how at the end she eventually stands up to him and decides to do it anyway, and it's so good. I think she will honestly be the best police officer. I think she'd be so good at it. I just love that. Let's talk about that one scene where Charlie gets like pushed off of the waterfall, and then she like sprains her ankle really badly, but then the teacher doesn't do anything about it. No one wants to do anything about it. I felt so bad for her because like it's obviously like really painful, but like no one wants to do anything about it. They just don't care. But then Ryan does, and it's so cute. Like I've said, I ship them. One thing that I like about this book is it shows that like there really are people in the world that just don't care at all. And I just like the people at the school, like some of the teachers and the students, especially Lauren, they just don't care, and they don't think about what anyone else will be feeling. They just like, they're so mean and inconsiderate a lot of the time, but they just don't think about what their actions are going to do to other people. But I just love how like no matter how bad all the teachers are, the principal, Mrs. H, I just love how you can see that she herself cares. Love how she helps with Maddie and his mum when no one else was really wanting to, and I just think that's so great because you can see that she really does care. So talking about Maddie, let's talk about him and his mum. I was so confused at the beginning as to, like, you could see that there was a real problem with his mum, but I was so confused as to what that problem actually was. Like, you could kind of tell what it was, but at the same time you still didn't know exactly what the problem was, and he didn't even know himself. But you can see how no matter all this time he was trying to hold the house together and pay all the bills and everything, and I just think that's so nice, because you think Maddie is just the character that will he just wears a hoodie all the time, listens to music, and he just won't care about anything ever. But I just love how, like, underneath all of that he's really loving and caring, and he wants the best for his mum, but then he tries to help, but she just keeps not wanting to get anything fixed. And can we talk about at the end he finds out who his dad is? That made me, that was such a surprise. Like, I kind of thought he'd find out who his dad is, but then you find out that Charlie, her stepdad, Stan, actually Maddie's dad that whole time. He was so close to where Maddie was, but the whole time when he desperately needed his dad, he was just so close, and he finally found out who his dad was, and it was so great. But at the same time, like, and his mum was there and saw him, and then you find out that it's because the reason that his dad left was because his mum aborted a baby because it was going to have Down syndrome. And, like, that was so sad, because you can see, we finally find out why Maddie's mum has the mental problem, and it's just so sad, but at the same time so great. And I love that scene, it was great. And at the same time, that's when Charlie and her mum and Stan as well, I guess, they have a new baby girl, and it was great and so cute. Okay, let's just talk about the graduation ceremony. That was so good. It brought back so many feelings and memories from my graduation, because I just graduated high school last year. The memories are so fresh for me, and, like, so many feelings and so emotional, because, like, I remember those feelings that all the characters are going through. It's just so good, and I loved how it was Charlie that eventually won the medal, because the whole time you're thinking it's going to be either Charlie or Ryan, who's it going to be? And then it's Charlie who won the medal, but then Ryan, he's kind of sad because he's been working so long for it. But then at the same time, he doesn't mind because it's Charlie that won, and I think that's cute. Let's talk about Gillian. Her parents, they get so caught up with political campaigns that they just pretty much just ignore her the whole time, and they don't even come to her graduation, and I think that's so sad for her. But, like, it's such a real problem that so many people go through, of having their parents just so busy with work and their jobs that they just forget to think about their kids. And I think that's just so sad, but it's so real at the same time. And now let's move on to the really emotional bit at the end. Let's talk about that party. Party was a mess. Beginning, I'm just thinking, this party is probably not going to end well, you know, like, the whole time you think this party is not going to end well, but I was not expecting anything like what happened to happen. Like, I thought they were going to get drunk, maybe get a little bit hurt, but one thing I was not expecting to happen. Gillian! No! You think, oh, I'm only like 20 pages from the end, not all the major drama's over now, but no, it's not. Why did she die? It was so unexpected. I came so close to actually crying, and I've only cried reading 2 books ever, so always my favourite character. Why my favourite character every time? Poor Gillian. And I felt so bad for her because right before that she had that argument with Charlie because she thought that Charlie's mum was putting her as like an experiment into her thesis when she really wasn't, and she felt so alone, like no one cared for her. And the whole reason she was really at the party and even took the drink and things was because she just wanted to forget everything, and that's so sad that she felt so alone. But at the same time you feel kind of better for her because at least she was feeling happy at the time. The one thing I loved about that part though with Gillian is because like things like that actually happen to so many people around the world that it was just so real and realistic. And I just love how this book dealt with real life issues like that, and it was so great. And I love the ending, how like it wrapped everything up so well, and it was so great. My one thing is I'd really love to see what happens to all the characters at the end, like after the book ends, like the rest of them. I want to see what jobs they have and things like that, and I think it'll be great to find that out, but oh well. So that's about it for my review. I love the book. I gave it 5 stars. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. It's my first review, so if it's not that great, forgive me please. But thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe maybe if you want to, if you're new, and yeah, bye.